So, not only were we the stuff of legend, the five boys who left the summer of their junior year to left San Antonio to go spend the summer at Port Aransas on their own with no money, no support, no nothing, and come back the day school starts. Left the day schools ended and came back the day school started for 12. We're legends. At every reunion I go to, I just went to one today, April 2022, and not a formal reunion, just kind of a gathering of. And I had at least two people come up to me and go, "Weren't you one of those guys that went to the coast and stayed up?" We're legendary, man. And not only that, we stayed in Max and the Laughing Kind's abandoned quarters. The old man that owned the island owned restaurants and half the island, and restaurants and hotels. And he had this old rundown hotel called the Paradise Courts that he gave a duplex, if you will, to his bands, whoever played at his venues, which primarily was the Dunes. There were many other venues with many other musical acts, but nothing like the Dunes, man. You talk about legendary in South Texas in 1966. The fucking Dunes was it. And they always had the Max and the Laughing Kind was the house band. Well, for years they lived in this 4-room duplex kind of thing at the Paradise Courts. The bands. All the bands, and every room in it was painted fabulously and different. One room literally was yellow and black stripes, floor to ceiling in different patterns. One room was artwork. There was a guy that had drawn I remember it was called 8 Miles High. And it was just when that song was popular, and it was this giant on the wall painting of I'm not sure what it was, like a mushroom cloud, but sort of, not that, it wasn't that, but it was just gigantic and 8 miles high. And every room had paintings and drawings and from parties. These were the band's quarters. Max and the Laughing Kind, a dozen other bands for 10 years. Everybody that was there in probably 1960, we were there 67. So, and I think that year or right before we got there, Plumlee had realized how trash this place was after all these years of people writing on the walls and punching through them and having parties and the bands. So these 4 rooms, he had moved the band to a different one of his hotels or motels and courts, and I don't know where, but this place trashed out we got for free because Mike Owens worked for old man Plumlee. And he got a job delivering frozen food in a little frozen truck, a little tiny truck with a little, like an ice cream guy, little thing with a couple doors and frozen food. And he was like a hot shot to take a box full of steaks to a restaurant that night, or a box full of pies or a box full of whatever to a different place, or 2, 3, whatever it was they needed. That was his job. But they had regular deliveries every day, but his job was a hot shot in this refrigerated truck to take special thing. And because of that, they gave him that truck to do, and they gave him a place to stay, which was these 4 rooms at the Paradise Courts that the band had tracked. And I can only imagine the first time whoever hired him took him over there, they were probably going, well, no, you probably don't want this, but if you don't want it, and he's going, no, this is fucking great, man. It was great. It was the coolest place in South Texas, even after it was trashed. We lived there for 3 months, from almost the week school, 2 weeks in from the time we got out for the rest of summer. And we were starving. There was me and Eddie and George, Eddie Lobash and George Doherty and Mike Owens got the job at me. And 2 rooms were bedrooms, and it was 2 double beds, and 2 of us stayed in one, 2 stayed in one. And then right next to it was like a living room, and then a kitchen. And but every room was painted different. Every room was, it was psychedelic as shit for a junior high school. And we loved it. It was fantastic. And we were starving, and but once a week, Mike would steal, as he was delivering these boxes of whatever to frozen in this frozen freezer truck to whatever restaurant. He would steal like a different box of food. And one week it was steaks, filet mignons, a box of them, maybe 20. I'm just guessing. So that we didn't have to cook. There was a stove, there was a pan. We ate filet mignons for the next solid week. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you were hungry, you grilled a filet mignon in a skillet. I'm not talking gourmet. I'm talking, if we'd had a microwave, it would have been microwaved. It was like that, but it was enough to get us by. And then the next week, I remember he stole a box of pies. A big box of frozen pies, maybe 20 of them. This kitchen had an oven. We ate pies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a week or 2. And it went on like that all summer. I mean, we got food wherever we could, but if we needed something, there was a pie at home. There was a steak at our place. So those are legends that people haven't, they don't tell the details of those legends, but they tell about the 5 guys. All of them know about those 5 guys. So me and George and Mike and Eddie all lived in that place. David, because Stunner had gotten a job day 1. I'm going to say when we crossed the ferry that night, we came across the ferry, he talked to somebody and they told him, come back, we need somebody. And he came back the next day. He got a job with a little room on the ferry, not on the boat, but at the dock where it docked, right there at the ferry compound. For 3 months, David worked at the ferry, and he ran the ferry back and forth. Car, he did everything for 3 months. He separated himself from us somehow, and then the 4 of us went down there. But we would see each other every day, especially his days off. None of us had work days, Mike a little, but we would see them. And David, I remember him carrying his board. We all had short boards, not boogie boards, man. These are surfboards, but they were the newer, shorter ones. He would carry it on his head from the ferry to the fucking jetties at the beach, walking barefoot. We all walked barefoot. Our feet, soles were so tough we could put out cigarettes, man, with our bare feet. And David would walk on his days off with his surfboard from the ferry at Port Aransas, Texas, to the jetties and we would surf there. We would meet them there and we'd all surf there. 3-foot wave, 2-foot waves. There was no waves, but we surfed. We were surfing motherfuckers.